Here we've got the PineSil V2 Smart Soldering Iron. There's not really much on the box. Let's open it up. So we got a little pamphlet. Here it is. You got the soldering iron and the tip. Look at that. It's absolutely tiny. And here's the tip. Goes in right there. Wow, that is small. I seriously thought it would be bigger than this. Yeah, this feels amazing. Alright, so here we have it. First off, we got the power settings. It's either DC, 3-cell, 4-cell, 5-cell, 6-cell, or DC, which is USB-C or the DC barrel jack. QC voltage. This is the max amount of voltage it would take from the USB-C socket. PD timeout. This is how long it's going to wait before it stops trying to negotiate different voltages with the USB-C. Power delivery mode. Yeah, and that's it. Now we have soldering settings. Boost temperature. Boost is when you really quickly want a slightly higher temperature. You hold down the plus button and it raises that temperature. Once you let go, it goes back to what it was normally set to. Startup behavior. This is just how you want it to behave when it first starts up. It either heats up instantly or it waits until you move it. Temperature change short. This is if you click the buttons, like one click, how much it changes by, and then you have temperature change long. This is how much it changes by if you hold it down. Allow locking buttons. This is just weird. Soldering auto tip type sense. This just senses what kind of tip you have installed. Now we have sleep mode. Motion sensitivity, because this thing has a gyroscope, it can tell when you move it. So it either sleeps or it can heat up once you start moving it. Save power. You have sleep temperature. When it goes to sleep, after you haven't moved it for a while, it goes to this temperature. Sleep timeout. This is how long it's going to wait for you to stop moving it until it goes to cool down. Shutdown timeout. This is how long it's going to take after you haven't touched it for it to turn off. Alright, that's it. And then user interface. You have temperature units, either Celsius or Fahrenheit. You have display orientation, either righty or lefty, like this. And it changes by itself because it has the gyroscope. I have cooldown, flashing, scrolling speed, swap the plus and minus keys, swap AB keys. This is different from swap plus and minus. It only takes effect once you're in the settings menu. Animation speed, animation loop, screen brightness, invert the screen, boot logo duration, detailed idle screen. I actually like this one on, and detailed solder screen. This just gives you more information about the amount of voltage coming in and what temperature it's at exactly. Alright, done. Now we have advanced settings. You have Bluetooth. I'll talk more about that later. Power limit. Calibrate CJC at next boot. This is something for cooldown. It's not really important. Calibrate input voltage. Exactly what it sounds like. Power pulse. This is just the intensity of the power for keeping it awake. And then finally, restore all the default settings. And there you go. Now this is the detailed idle screen. You have the temperature. You have the temperature you want it to be at. And then you have the input voltage. If you press the plus button, it'll turn on. And then you can actually raise the temperature to whatever you want. To turn it off before waiting for this countdown to finish, you can just press both buttons at the same time. A really nice thing about this one is it actually heats up really fast, depending on the charger you have. If you have a high power charger, it heats up crazy fast. If it's a low power charger, it's still acceptable, but good to know. And then here, if you hold down the plus button, it's going to take you to the boost temperature, which was 410, I believe. And then once I let go, it's obviously just going to cool back down. So yeah, and that's your tour. Good practice to do with your tips is to actually wet a paper towel with isopropyl alcohol and clean the part that goes into the soldering iron so it has better connection. Let's try and solder something. I don't actually have anything to solder right now, so I'm just going to tin this wire. Here I'm going to apply some flux. Hey, first dabs of solder. That was amazing. That was literally perfect. Notice when it's idle, it actually starts counting down. Once this timer finishes, it's going to go into sleep mode and cool down to a safe temperature. And when you pick it back up, it instantly starts heating back up again. That is just amazing, man. I'm so happy with this purchase. Something I always like to do is keep a blob of solder on the tip so that it doesn't corrode. Another nice trick, if you ever want to cool down the tip quickly, just wet a sponge and do it. See how quickly the temperature is dropping? Now let's talk about accessories. This is the short gross tip set. Inside it comes with 4 different tips. You've got a flathead, a cylindrical flathead, a fine tip, and another special type of flathead. And they all have their advantages. For example, the fine tip is good for SMD soldering and really fine things. I'm not really sure about this one, but I'm sure someone needs it. The flathead is good for soldering and desoldering multiple tips at the same time. I've even seen a lot of people use these for plastic welding, which is a great bonus. And this one is good for soldering a big thing with a lot of solder. All in all, they all have their own advantages, and if you have the money, I think it's worth picking up. Another accessory I want to talk about is this. Well, technically it's not really an accessory, it's more of a mod, but it's just so cool I had to talk about it. This is a transparent replacement case for the Pinecil, and let me show you how to install it. First things first, remove all the screws and then remove the rubber grip. Once you've taken out all the screws, and I know this is going to sound a little bit risky, but trust me, it's very easy. You're going to take any regular screwdriver that's smaller than the hole, and then you're going to insert it and pry up. Make sure you're not prying towards the side of the screen. You should pry on the side away from the screen. Also, insert it maybe about this much. Don't go too far in. Once you popped it open, just carefully remove it. And there you go, it's open. Make sure when you're prying with the screwdriver, you don't hit these pins too much, because these are what supply power to the actual tip. And don't worry, if you mess anything up, these only cost $1 to replace. Now I can unscrew these 2 screws here. Be careful not to damage the tabs. Now I can take out the entire circuit board. Set that aside, take out this metal piece, and these 2 buttons. You're not really going to need these, but keep them just in case. Now you're going to do the same thing with the transparent case. Make sure to unscrew all the screws. Take the new buttons and insert them into their places. And take the metal part and put it right there. And this step is really important. Admire the circuit board. Yes, amazing. Now I can insert the circuit board into the new case and screw these tabs back into their place. Make sure the tab is sticking out to the back. Make sure to tighten it down all the way, but not too hard that you strip the plastic. Once you're done screwing them in, just snap the case on. You might see that when you snap it on, the back snaps perfectly, but at the front there's still a gap. Just push the top piece backwards and it should click into place. Don't be scared, this might need a little bit of force, but it's okay. Now you can return all the screws. Make sure that the long screw goes in this hole. This screw is for tightening down on the tips, so don't screw it in all the way. Now all that's left is to put the rubber grip on. And there you go, the transparent case mod. Man, it looks so cool. You can even partially see the tip when it goes in. And just a disclaimer, by following this tutorial, I am not in any way responsible for any damage that you may cause to your Pinecil. But with that being said, it is very easy and hard to mess up, so I hope you have the best of luck. Man, imagine if it could auto-detect the new case. Yeah, but there you go. Something I absolutely love about the Pinecil is that it's USB-C and it has a DC barrel jack. This means I can take a power bank like this that has an output above 5 volts. Luckily, this one goes up to 12 and 20 watts. And I can just plug them together, put the power bank in my pocket, and work wherever I want without the need for a power socket. And if I do have a power socket, even better. I can take these adapters and plug them straight in. They work perfectly fine, although usually not too fast at heating up. If I'm at my desk, I would usually use a laptop charger, which is much faster. And you're really not limited to location like you would be if you had something like this. Man, I wish the fan would turn on by itself and turn off automatically. Well, that's exactly what I did. Here's how I built it. First, I changed the tip to a flathead so I can easily extract this transistor out of an old circuit board. Then I placed it on a copper plaque and marked out cutting lines. Then I used the Dremel to carve out the footprint. This is so I can have bigger pads to solder the transistor onto. And it also makes it easier for me to connect it to the entire circuit. Now I'm swapping back to the normal tip so I can solder properly. Here I'm adjusting the position of the transistor and applying some flux. Now I can solder it up and saw it off the board using a handsaw. Now I can solder on this chip to power the ESP32. Here I'm soldering on the transistor board, which I'm gonna use to turn the fan on and off. Here I'm putting a 100 ohm resistor to limit peak current. Now I'm scratching off the solder mask of the 5 volt input line because my ESP32 doesn't have a voltage input. I'm gonna solder these wires as a bridge from the ESP32 and the small circuit board I made. Unfortunately, I forgot to film most of the wiring. Here I'm soldering up this latching override switch and covering the entire circuit board in Kapton tape. Watch this. It actually works! And it even shuts off by itself when it reaches 140. Isn't that cool? I programmed an ESP32 to connect with the pine cell over Bluetooth. If it detects that the pine cell is heating up, then it will automatically turn the fan. And if the pine cell starts cooling down and the temperature reaches 140, it turns off the fan automatically. You can actually easily set this value in the code to whatever you want. This isn't really a mod, it's more of an accessory. But it's crazy how amazing this thing is. I don't even have to touch it anymore, it just turns on by itself when it needs to. This even improves battery life by only staying on when it needs to be. Check out the GitHub repo down below for all the code and more information. Now it's time to actually mod this thing. The first mod, RGB. For this mod, you're gonna need one of these tiny WS2812B Addressable RGB LEDs. You can either buy these as is, or you can take them out of addressable LED lights. Now we're gonna attach 3 wires. First wire is ground, notice it's the one with the notch. Second wire is 5 volts, the one directly opposite from ground. And the third wire is data in, this is the one right beside ground. These wires should be really thin, I'm using 30 gauge here. Now you can set this aside, and now open up the case again. Notice that I'm keeping it upside down because I don't want any dust to get under the screen. First thing we want to do is pry the screen so we can access a pad underneath it. To do this, we can take some isopropyl alcohol and put it in the gap so it loosens up the glue. Make sure to go nice and slow. Once you've peeled back the screen, be extra careful not to damage anything, because the screen is very delicate. Let it air out for 5 minutes so that the isopropyl alcohol can dry. While it's open and we wait for it to dry, we can actually do a second mod. That's the Hall effect sensor. We can use the Hall effect sensor to detect when a magnet comes close to the soldering iron. This would be useful to let the soldering iron know when it's docked or picked up. That way it can cool down immediately and heat up instantly. I have this board containing the 3144 Hall effect sensor, so I'm just gonna steal it from this board. And here it is. Great camera angles, genius. Made this solder 3 wires, 5 volts, ground, and digital output. Now unbend the pins, just like so, and cover them in heat shrink tubing. You should extend the digital output wire a bit more than the others. Now you should find these 2 pins on the board, TP9 and TP10. You should put tiny dabs of solder onto these 2 pads. You need to be extremely careful when doing this. You really don't want to bridge these small pins. Now solder the data wire of the LED to TP10. Always make sure to be careful and take your time. If you mess it up, it's really hard to go back. Now solder the data wire of the Hall effect sensor to TP9. And there you go. With both wires now soldered on, carefully put the screen back in its place. Now plug it in to make sure everything's still working. Okay, everything's good. Now flip it over to the other side. You want to find this pad that says U10. That's going to be our ground. And then this capacitor right here is going to be our 5 volts. Technically it's 4.6, but it'll work just fine. Firstly, I'm going to solder on the LED, test it, make sure it works, and then move on to the Hall effect sensor. Okay, so the LED isn't turning on. That's probably because of the firmware. Let me update it and see if it works. I used Claude to edit the official source code. I made it so that the RGB LED is enabled by default and so that I can integrate this specific Hall effect sensor. I'll also link this code and the pre-built .bin file in the GitHub repo down below. Make sure to specify your version as custom, then click the folder icon and select the firmware you just downloaded. Connect the pine cell by holding down the button closest to the USB-C port and plug it in. Now press update. And the LED should be working now. Perfect. Now that we've verified that the RGB LED works, we can move on to soldering the Hall effect sensor. But before I do that, I quickly want to say one thing. The PineCell V2 board already comes with a spot for a Hall effect sensor. Thing is though, that Hall effect sensor is pretty rare. It's an I2C Hall effect sensor, and wherever you find it, it's very expensive. For that reason, I decided to use this cheap generic A3144 Hall effect sensor. It has a digital output, either high or low, making it very simple to use. This should have the same functionality as the other I2C Hall effect sensor. All that you're losing is the ability to set the sensitivity, which in my opinion isn't really important. That's enough talking, let me solder it up. This time, we aren't gonna solder the positive and negative wires of the Hall effect sensor to the same points. Instead, we're gonna solder the negative wire to TP4 and the positive wire to this side of this capacitor. Alright, now that we've soldered everything up, let's plug it in and test it out. So far so good. You can enter a special menu by holding down this button, and then keep pressing the other button until you find one that says Hall effect. That's the one. Now just bring a magnet close to it, and it should pop up to 2000. It's actually pretty sensitive, which is great. And if nothing is changing, then just flip your magnet over and it should work. Otherwise, check your wiring and the firmware, otherwise something's probably wrong. Now let's assemble it into the case. Take your case, make sure to insert the buttons and this middle piece. And just a tip, very carefully bend the wires outwards so that it's easier to assemble. And especially if your pad ripped and you had to do micro soldering, be extra careful with that wire, making sure there's no tension on the wires. Now let's screw in these two metal tabs. Alright, now before we tuck in the wires, let's insulate the LED with a piece of Kapton tape. Just like so. Now insert the tip into its place. That way we can make sure to not put any components where it's going to be. Now very carefully tuck in the LED. Something like this is perfect. Now tuck in the Hall effect sensor in this gap between the tabs and the plastic shell. If it's not going in easily, just try and flip it and then it should go in properly. Once it's in, tuck in the wires a bit more, being extra careful. And it's fine if the LED sticks out, we're gonna put a top cover on it anyway. Now just put the shell back on. Screw in the screws, making sure the long one is for this hole. And finally slide on the rubber grip. And you're finally done. Now let's properly test it out. Alright, so the LED is working. Perfect, it's heating up. And now the Hall effect sensor. There you go. There is a second delay, and that's built into the software. Unfortunately, you can't make it instant. And there you go, a fully decked out PineCell V2 with a fully automatic extractor fan. I hope you all like it as much as I did, and I hope you don't damage anything while trying to mod it. If unfortunately you do, just send me a comment down below and I'll try and help you out. If you liked the video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot to me and it helps me out a ton. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.